On the field. Off the field. Sports talk. Entertainment and more. This is Sauce on the Side.
Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to episode 103 of the Sauce on the Side podcast. As always, Dippers, I'm your host, Drake, joined by the man, the producer, Mr. Leighton Pip Shavantone.
We were one Brad Stevens away from having all three of my favorite players in the same NBA team. But I'll take 2 out of 3.
I guess you're going to have to at this point.
At least for the next 4 years.
Yeah, at least for the next 4 years. Did you realize something about that Brad Stevens team with the Celtics?
What?
Kemba, Gordon Hayward, Brad Stevens.
Man.
They were all in that championship game.
They were.
Is that not
Yeah,
crazy?
that is nuts. That was a great game to watch,
I think that's
too.
like 8 years later, but yeah.
It's been a minute. Yeah, I think the game was awful. Hopefully the Celtics season goes better than that game did.
Do you think Brad Stevens ever sat there and just thought he's like, man, whenever I get to coach in the NBA, I'm going to go get that guy. It's kind of like the 76ers sitting back and saying, we got to get the guy that, they're sitting there watching Al Horford dominate Joel Embiid in the playoffs. We got to go get that guy.
No, but they probably thought was, oh shit, it's 29-30 inside the second half. Everyone, this court sucks.
Yeah. So, Dippers, be sure to follow on Spotify and iTunes. Download, subscribe, give us a 5-star review. Follow on Twitter and Instagram at The Saucy Pod. So, same as the last few, this episode is brought to you by Nubability Athletics. They instruct, inspire, and encourage congenital and traumatic amputees to compete in mainstream sports. They have camps throughout the United States and Southern Illinois for limb-different youth and amputees ages 4 through 17. You can follow them on Instagram at Nubability Athletics, and you can follow at Sam Kuhnert, that's at SAM at KUHNERT on Instagram as well for more. So Leighton C. Not a ton going on in the sports world this week. We have to put a bow on the NBA free agency. We will talk a little bit about the U.S. women's soccer team. A little bit of MLB chatter, pump up the home run derby, give a little second half predictions for the MLB. But first, Woj bomb dropping at 1 a.m. Saturday morning. Kawhi Leonard chooses the road less traveled and signs with the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers also had to get an arrangement that would bring Paul George over from the Thunder for Danilo Gallinari, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and 5 first-round picks. First up, the Clippers?
Yeah,
The Clippers.
it's time.
The team that we talked about last week, you, me, Brandon, gave our predictions. We were all on board for either the Raptors or the Lakers. He chooses the Clippers.
Yeah, but they got Paul George.
That is crazy.
It came out saying that it could be the Lakers, I guess. From what I read, it was full on the Lakers until Clippers got Paul George at 1 a.m. or midnight or whatever. I was asleep when it happened.
I was asleep too.
I woke up and I had turn my phone in and look at any of it, and then you text me all of a sudden saying Beverly, PG-13, and Kawhi Leonard, best big three of all time.
In Leighton C's opinion, possibly.
Obviously that's definitely right. Pat Beverly, defense, three-short shooting, so underrated.
Yeah, and the trade. Obviously, we'll get back to the trade here in a little bit. People are going to say it's stupid to give up 5 first-round picks. But you traded 5 first-round picks for not only Paul George, but guaranteeing that Kawhi Leonard signs with your team.
Yeah,
you'll give up 5 first-round picks for top 2 players in the league any day.
Yeah, 5's a lot of picks.
I'd give up 7 for those 2 guys.
5's a ton of picks. Get the 2 guys, but here's the thing that people don't talk about. The Clippers were going to be a good team with or without those 2 guys.
Yeah,
they weren't going to be
right.
a contender team, but they, playoffs got a high lottery team. So you're having a high lottery. You're drafting either a 23-year-old who had 4 years to be good, or 19-year-old who's late lottery that might never see the NBA court.
Yes.
So it's like, why not just trade those guys and go get Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, who's to make a championship this year? Maybe Paul George stays with you after this season, and you can win 2 or 3 championships.
No, I absolutely agree with that. So Leighton C, I ask you, and I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about it this week, is this the best 1-2 punch in LA?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I do.
I think it's AD and LeBron did, and here's why. if you want to talk about injury concerns, at this point in time, all 4 players in this thing have some injury concerns.
Paul George, not so much. I mean, he had the one freak injury.
Okay, yeah.
But he's rebounded well.
But I'm assuming health.
Paul George is the healthiest guy in the room.
Paul George, the guy right now, he can't play in the fucking playoffs, so
Yes.
keep that in mind.
Yes.
Anthony Davis might be totally healthy. I'm not sure who he really was. The Pelicans obviously weren't going to play him. Could not go straight to hurt Anthony Davis. But assuming health, before early this season, LeBron James and Anthony Davis were top 5, top 6 players in the NBA. They're all top 10. But I still have AD and LeBron James equaling out to a lower average than Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
See, I disagree with you, and here's why. You look at these guys. Obviously, all 4 do raise some kind of injury concerns, but you look at Kawhi Leonard. If you do, he's kind of figured out this load management thing, and he's on a team that's going to allow him to have the load management and still be able to make the playoffs. Like, that Clippers team is pretty good with or without Kawhi Leonard. They're going to make the playoffs, so he can rest throughout the regular season and be healthier by the end of this whole thing. Where you look at the Lakers, they're going to have to survive just solely without LeBron, or solely with LeBron. Like, that team is going to be a fringe playoff team if LeBron doesn't step on the court all season. Like, they may miss the playoffs. And you look at the last couple of years, the success of all 4 of these guys, like, you look at Paul George's totality, his career in totality, he's been a guy on a team and been the team leader and went 7 games with LeBron James in the Eastern Conference Finals when LeBron James was on the best team that he's probably ever been with the Miami Heat. You look at Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard has won 2 finals and 2 finals MVPs. And LeBron James, I know that he's great. He's been to all these finals, but obviously he's lost a step, especially defensively. Now Anthony Davis, you can make the argument, is the best defender out of all 4 of these guys. Now offensively, I don't think that he's as good as Kawhi Leonard or Paul George, but in the NBA, we haven't seen Anthony Davis be able to be that team leader on a very, very good team. Now, he's been to the second round of the playoffs one time being the best player on his team, but in today's NBA, and I'll stand on it basically to the end, that the small forward position is the most important position in the NBA. Mm-hmm. In the NBA, just because these guys are just so more talented than everybody else in the league. They can handle the ball, they can post up when they need be, they can do everything. And if you are the Clippers and you have 2 of probably the top 4 small forwards in the NBA, I like your chances a lot more than what I like LeBron James with an Anthony Davis.
Yes, but okay, so yes, if I'm building a team, I want the 2 small forwards.
Absolutely.
But I still think Anthony Davis is a better player than Paul George. Kawhi Leonard right now is probably better player than both LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but I don't know. I tried to do rankings earlier, and just 2 freaking hockey people are hurt.
Yes.
I just know that Paul George is in the 8 to 10 range, and the rest are all in the top 7. So that's how I decided my list.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that it's not like, and you're going to hear this all week. People are going to argue to death, like one side of the fence against the other. And let's just get this out there. Both teams have 2 top 10 players.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And with top 10 players, anything can happen.
Yes.
I mean, these guys are very interchangeable. Right now, I wouldn't be mad if people put LeBron over Kawhi over LeBron, or Paul George over Anthony Davis, or Anthony Davis over Paul George. All these pieces are very interchangeable at this point of their career. So I think this is going to be absolutely fun to watch. I think this may be, I wanted to see the Raptors run it back, but I think this as far as storylines for the NBA, this was the best for the NBA.
Yeah, if I don't want it to happen in this NBA season, I want Lakers Clippers to be either 1-2, 1-3, 2-3. Give us every side of the bracket. Okay, when the conference finals,
Yes.
LA versus LA to go to the final. That would be just, I don't know. That's what you want in sports,
Dude.
Like, you want to see Kawhi Leonard versus LeBron James for the finals in LA, where LeBron couldn't get Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. Because LeBron tried to get both those guys. Paul George picked Russell Westbrook.
Yes, over LeBron
And that
James.
shit show of OKC, they have no money at all. And Kawhi Leonard picked the Clippers, who are just very well in right now, because Jerry West, the logo, he's, I guess, the fucking boss.
Yeah, he is the boss.
He is the boss, yes.
He is the boss. Dude, just imagine this. our Western Conference semifinals could realistically be the Lakers versus the Warriors and the Rockets versus the Clippers.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to watch. I'm all in on this.
Yep.
I'm all in on this. So, latency, is this your title favorite? I know Vegas now has them as the title favorite, but is this your title favorite?
Yes, it is. Because not only do they have the stars, they have the bench players and the depth to win the championship. They have players you need. Like, they have Lou Williams still, which was huge, keeping him. Pat Beverly, I'm saying him one more time, but yeah, top favorites. They're too deep.
I absolutely agree with you. And, a lot of times whenever you get guys onto a new team, you always wonder, how is this going to work out? I feel like Kawhi Leonard is the guy that no matter where you put him, he's going to be able to fit into whatever you do. Paul George is exactly that same type of player. No matter what you have, he's going to find a way to figure out how to fit into the system. I mean, this is a guy who re-signed on a team that had Russell Westbrook taking every shot in the world, and he even elevated his game from the first year that he played with Westbrook to the second year that he played with Westbrook, so he fits in fine. Kawhi Leonard, he's won 2 championships with 2 separate teams. He fits in fine. You look at the pieces surrounding them. Lou Williams, do you think Lou Williams is going to be mad that he's not starting?
No, he does get he's not starting.
He expects not to start, and he's okay with that.
He probably sucks as a starter.
Yes, and he's okay coming in against the bench unit and dropping 20 points per game against the team's second team. And then you look at a guy like Patrick Beverly. He played in 78 games this year. In 21 of those games, he had more assists than points.
Yeah.
In almost a third of his games, he had more assists than points. So these guys will all fit in together. Montrezl Harrell, he's a guy that is okay coming off the bench. He's going to be a top 10 guy whenever you talk about 6th man of the year, and that's with Lou Williams on his team. They have a lot of pieces that you don't even have to question are going to fit together. Mo Harkless getting signed to that team kind of flies under the radar at this point. It looks like he's going to start the 3 for this team, which he's played with 2 superstars before and been okay with that, so I see him sliding right in there with no hiccups. I think this is your team that should be your title favorites. I don't think that the discrepancy between 1 and 2 is going to be astronomical, but as far as players that are going to fit well together, I think this is your most obvious team, other than a team that's running back what they had last year, like the Nuggets.
Yeah.
So,
and the Nuggets are all that team, too, that they were second in the Western Conference this season, and they could all piece it together in the playoffs. They could beat the Clippers.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they will beat the Clippers, because the Clippers now have the rare instance of really good depth. Not just like vet minimum guys, actual depth and really good playoff experience.
Yes, and they have 3 guys that you could honestly make the argument are top 15 defensively in the league, no matter what position. So offensively, defensively, this team is going to be just fine, and I really like the build-up for this team. So latency. Obviously, Paul George gets moved from the Thunder for 5 first-round picks, Danilo Gallinari, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. What is next for the Thunder?
They gotta trade Westbrook.
You have to.
There's the only point now in keeping Russell Westbrook is to sell tickets, which yes is a humongous driver for a team not to trade players away. Okay, if you trade away Russell Westbrook, you're gonna put Gallo on your tickets.
Yeah.
No, Gallinari is.
Yes, or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Or Steve Adams.
Yeah, no. So they gotta trade Westbrook. They're gonna have to take on 1 or 2 bad contracts. It just, I don't think they're going to Westbrook. I don't think they'll be able to. I don't see how they will be able to find a trade for Westbrook without a player like Chris Paul. And Chris Paul is the same thing with Westbrook.
Yeah. See, I think with this Russell Westbrook thing, Russell Westbrook has obviously been the cornerstone of this franchise basically since they've come into the league. He's been the guy that stuck it out. Obviously people have come through the door. Top 10 players have come through the door, and he has remained the same and stayed with the team. I think you're almost at that point that you can't just dump Russell Westbrook off on a team and that he's not going to be happy at. I think that even if you're a Thunder fan, you almost want Russell Westbrook to be traded because you've seen this guy grow up on the team, and all he's going to do is tread water at this point. Your team needs assets, more assets than what you have. You're not going to compete with a title with Russell Westbrook being your sole star there. So instead of using the 5 picks that you ended up getting out of this trade, go out and just trade Russell Westbrook. You could realistically pull off a trade, get 3 more assets that you can build off of. You have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is an asset in himself, who, was a phenomenal piece for the Clippers last year. He's still super young. Last year was his rookie season. So you could honestly just hit the reset button on this whole thing, try to trade Steve Adams for a pick or two, and you might have to get a bad contract in there. You trade Russell Westbrook. You take the foot off the gas pedal for a couple years, which is something that this team's never done. This team has never had to rebuild. They walked into the doors with James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook basically since they started as a franchise. Then you get Paul George years later. I think the Thunder, which I actually had them as the team missing the playoffs last week, I feel more confident about that now. You have to hit the reset button. You have to basically go in full tank. You don't have to go in full tank mode, but just get all you can while you still can for Russell Westbrook. Latency.
Real quick though.
Yes.
I do have one trade scenario for the Thunder that I do kind of like.
Lay it on me.
Who's a team that just went out and took a chance on a player and won a championship this year?
The Raptors.
Kyle Lowry for Westbrook will work straight up. This is the last year of Lowry's deal. I'm not sure if you get any picks with that at all, but regardless, you can get rid of Westbrook. Not sure Raptors would take on Westbrook, but I think that's an option that I would not be totally surprised if that happened.
Yeah, I mean, they did try that with Siakam, and the Raptors were not willing to get rid of Siakam. But I want to know more trade scenarios. Where do you think? Do you think Russell Westbrook will be traded before the end? I think he'll be traded.
To where?
I think the Heat are a possibility.
He okay?
And I think that would be a team that would be absolutely hilarious watching Russell Westbrook and Jimmy Butler yelling back and forth at each other, win like probably 40 games, get in as like the 7 seed in the East. I think that would be a funny scenario. I have one that I had heard that I think could possibly work.
That's it.
Send Russell Westbrook to the Spurs.
For DeMar?
I don't know what you're going to get back. I don't know financially how you can get that to work to where you can keep the Spurs in that contender mindset where you're not giving up that many pieces. But in return, you could get quite a few pretty good assets from the Spurs that you can build on for the future. You don't have to get DeMar DeRozan because you're not going to win with DeMar DeRozan as the sole superstar there in OKC. But I think that could be a rebirth to Russell Westbrook's career, where he gets in with Pop, who runs the right plays for Russell Westbrook, keeps him off the three-point line, keeps him in check, and puts Russell Westbrook in the best spots to succeed, which they really haven't done in OKC over the last probably 4 seasons.
Yeah, and we don't know how Dejounte Murray's knee is either. So I say that is lingering on in his career. Could be good for Pop too. The Heat don't like it. They could do a trade with Goran Dragic, and then they could put in the Dion Waiters or Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah.
So Waiters back to OKC and Goran Dragic to OKC.
Yeah, and you throw in some picks. Honestly, you could get that to work because the Heat are obviously trying to win now that they brought in Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, honestly, so I don't think he'll be traded. If he does get traded, I won't be surprised at all because that's what time called different measures, and people just don't want. I don't know. Westbrook, Thunder going nowhere. They're not gonna keep doing that.
Call the Knicks.
Fuck, the Knicks won't take anybody. They don't want players. The Knicks do not want players.
No, they don't. Speaking of the Knicks, news actually broke this week that the Knicks were the ones to actually cancel the meeting with Kawhi Leonard. You know what they called it, Latency?
A tactical decision.
A tactical decision to cancel the meeting with Kawhi Leonard. How's that tactical? That way you can focus on guys like Julius Randle?
It's just stupid. Okay, New York Knicks. I know you're listening to me right now. You don't have to say anything. You don't get a player. Everybody knew you weren't going to get Kawhi Leonard. There's no reason to come and make another PR nightmare. You already fucked up once by saying you wouldn't get Kevin Durant the max deal. You also fucked up by saying you weren't going to trade Anthony Davis. There's no point in saying anything about Kawhi Leonard. You were never in the sweepstakes. There's no chance to get him. I don't know. I know all press is good press, but sometimes you just don't want press.
No, not in this situation. Not whenever you just come out and say, you know what, we had a chance. to get meetings with 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA, we just declined it. We didn't want to give one the max because we were scared he was going to be hurt, and the other guy, we just went ahead and canceled that just due to a tactical decision because, we didn't want him.
The Knicks are like teenage girls. They don't text the guy back to make the guy want it more. And sometimes it works. But sometimes smart guys just fucking move past it. Quite a smart dude. He's moved on.
Yeah.
That was my time.
Yeah, they both figured it out early. The juice is not worth the squeeze with the Knicks, obviously. So Leighton C. Every year, whenever these kind of pieces get added to teams, we hear cliches that are just out there. The cliches that keep on going, no matter what pieces move where, how guys are going to fit. Leighton C. Give me a couple of your favorite NBA cliches.
My favorite one is you have to have stars.
Yes.
Or it has to have
3 stars. Not just stars.
Yeah.
3 stars to
stars,
win.
Needs more stars, anything like that at all. Because we literally just watched a team win an NBA championship with Kawhi the best player. Then you have a battle for 2 with Marc Gasol and Pascal Siakam. And then more like 2 Bs and any 2A. And then for the 3rd best player, you have Kyle Lowry going at Fred VanVleet, man.
Yes.
You just need players that can play basketball well and that work together.
Absolutely.
You don't have to have a team with 3 stars and then just hope the vet minimum guys can find their spots in the lineup.
Yeah, and you look at another team that was 1 game away from the Western Conference Finals. Who are the stars on the Nuggets?
Do you want to call Jokic a star?
Yeah, Nikola Jokic. That's it.
Yeah, and he's a really good player, but he's not a star.
Not really. I mean, he's a star player, but he's not necessarily the star guy that's going to sell your tickets.
I don't think he could carry my team to a championship by himself, but I think with the right guys around, he definitely could.
Absolutely. And I love that it's not just you need stars. 3 stars. Once you have the big 3, and they throw that around, big 3. Ever since basically the Celtics were able to do it and piece everything together with 3 really good players, everybody needs a big 3 now. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite ones, there's only 1 ball. Duh.
Yep.
Only 1 ball. If you get a lot of guys that are really, really good at basketball, guess what? Having 1 ball is no problem because guess what? You would rather have better players at every single position. Mm-hmm. You're not just wanting to go out there and it's like, oh, you know what? We have way too many guys that are really, really good at scoring. We don't need a guy who can shoot. Let's get a guy who can't shoot. That way, he passes off to other guys that can score.
So he's not mad. He's not getting his shot. This is like saying baseball teams won too many games in the regular season. Like, oh, sorry, still lost that game back in May.
Yeah.
Just do that one.
Only 1 ball. Another one that I have written, we don't know how they're going to play together. Duh.
Yeah.
We haven't seen them play together, so we don't know how they're going to play together. So that way, we can't just automatically assume that they're going to be terrible. Mm-hmm. There's a chance that if you bring in so many guys that are good at basketball, your team will be better. That's another cliche. You have any other cliches for me?
That's really the best one, though. But going back to the one about only 1 ball, just go back to my thing about more stars. Like, people want 1 ball for stars to play, but you don't need all those stars.
Yeah, and the same people that say you need stars are going to be the same people that say, well, there's only 1 ball. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's going to get their shots.
If they don't know how to play together, you have 1 ball, you have 5 players, and they're going to figure out how to play together or like winning games. Yeah. And all we're going to be able to do up until we see them play is just project, this guy's going to stand over here, obviously. They'll lead the offense. You have a good idea, but until it actually happens, you have no real idea.
No, every single year, people get added to every single team, so we don't know how players are going to look playing with each other. Even teams that are running it back with basically the same talent, they've added bench guys that are going to be seeing minutes this year. No team is the same exact team that they were last year. So guess what? We have not seen anybody play together.
No. So do you think the cliches are ever going to stop?
No, the cliches will be running as long as there is a free agency.
This year you got reported that there's been nearly $4 billion spent on players this year. I think that's entirely too much money spent on any one person? Or any group of people?
Yes.
Any more thoughts for us?
Yes, I do, actually.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine.
You've heard of a Woj bomb, but what about a Kawhi kaboom? It happens about 1:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning. This man, he needs all the attention. Golden State Warriors. You know what you're getting with Willie Cauley-Stein. 25 minutes of hard play, killer screens, and the league worst in face tattoos. Joe Lacob, wanting to retire the jersey of Kevin Durant is like trying to say the chick you dated for 3 weeks who cheated on you the last week and a half was your soulmate. Mr. Lacob, take a lap. Mr. Lacob, if you retire 35, you must retire 30, 23, 19, 9, and 34. No ifs, ands, ors about it. I see it now. Year 2022. LeBron James Jr. gets drafted by the Golden State Warriors, and he has 3 choices. 98, 43, and 00. Joe Lacob retired the rest. The New York Knicks, the most tactical team in the NBA. LeBron James. I thought everyone wanted to play with him. James Harden, Chris Paul, and Russell Westbrook walk into a bar and there's one shot sitting on the table. Who's taking it? Lou Williams will not win the 6th Man of the Year if you're no longer the best player who just happens to come off the bench. Lou, you're toast. And there's a new movie out this week. It's titled The Panic Room, and it was written by Daryl Morey. And those have been my thoughts.
Yeah, before we get off that real quick, but if the Rockets got Russell Westbrook, that would
greatest
be...
team of all time.
That would be genius, because...
Well, if they do that, they're probably going to trade out Clint Capella.
Yeah, well, him... They have to, because...
They'll have 3 point guards. There's only... That is a team that I'll legitimately say there's only one ball.
Yes, I mean... There are a few teams, like this year I'm excited to get NBA League Pass, because a lot of teams I want to see. That'd be like 1B to the Pelicans 1A.
Oh yeah, dude, I would love to watch that. I think in this weird scenario, this is another cliche that they like to use. Well, they're too small. This team's too small now. You sign a guy, they're too small. Well, and then everybody wants to talk about how small ball wins in the NBA. You have to be small, but you can't be too small.
Yeah.
You know, that drives me nuts. But I do want to see Russell. I would love to see, as far as him going to the Heat, I think there would be more problems with him going to the Rockets, where you're just loading out 3 point guards and just hoping it works. And Russell Westbrook is like the exact opposite of player that they've been hunting for the last year and a half.
Really, though, can you imagine that Mike D'Antoni offense with Westbrook pushing the break with James Harden, Eric Gordon, and somehow Chris Paul is out there, too? All just posted by a 3-point line.
You remember the 7-second or less Suns?
It's like 5 seconds or less.
Yes, this would be like the 4-second or less Rockets.
Like, let's go. Get the rebound, outlet pass, shoot.
The run and gun Rockets.
Love it.
I've already got them named. I love it.
Get it done.
So latency, we'll round out the rest of the NBA rosters. So the Lakers sat on their hands basically the whole entire free agency waiting for Kawhi Leonard to sign.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that them opening up room for that max contract was kind of a waste. They end up getting Danny Green, Rajon Rondo, DeMarcus Cousins, KCP, Quinn Cook, JaVale McGee, and it looks like they're going to get Avery Bradley now.
They just signed for a 2-year deal.
They just signed him. So you're basically running it back with the same exact team you had last year, with the exception of no longer having Brandon Ingram or Lonzo Ball, but you're adding Danny Green, DeMarcus Cousins, and Quinn Cook. Is this a championship roster?
It could win one. It really could. I mean, we saw DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis play very well together in New Orleans. No one talks about it either. We had the clusterfuck. It wasn't. DeMarcus Cousins' best playing ever by Anthony Davis.
Yes. And
then they got Avery Bradley, excellent 3-point shooter, great defensive player, and Danny Green, great defense, great 3-point shooter. And so this team could win a championship. It's just, can they put it all together enough time in a row to win these games? And I feel like every time LeBron gets a team like this, it underachieves or is struggling in some other way. But this team could win a championship.
I think anytime you have LeBron on your team, you could win a championship. Mm-hmm. The only problem that I have is that you have shooters, but I don't know if you necessarily have enough of them. I mean, you look at guys down the line. Obviously, AD can make one if he's open. DeMarcus Cousins can too. Both those guys are flirting with like 33% over their career. Danny Green brought up his 3-point shooting up to 45% last year. One of the best 3-point shooters in the league last year, and nobody's really talking about that. I think out of all these players that they had signed, Danny Green was the most important because now it gets into that fact that LeBron doesn't necessarily have to play defense hard every single night. Danny Green, you can throw him out there. He's okay taking 5 shots a night, especially all of them being behind the three-point line. So I do like that. The weird thing to me is bringing back the Rondo thing. I mean, I like Rondo in spots, but I don't like him with LeBron James because LeBron is so ball dominant, and Rajon Rondo is not a three-point shooter. Like, I know that his percentage went up last year, but he was only taking like 3 a game, and he made the wide open one that he got.
I bet Rondo starts, but I bet Quinn Cook logs more minutes per game almost. And Quinn Cook, he shot 40% last year on Golden State. Didn't play a lot, obviously, because for Golden State and they got Steph and Clay to deal with. But he's an okay shooter. I bet he plays more minutes than Rondo does. Because the one thing LeBron said over the past 2 or 3 seasons, he wants to have the ball less on offense. Because he wants to basically take a break on offense sometimes. And while no one start Quinn Cook, I think, career high minutes like 14 minutes per game.
Oh, he's gonna set his career high.
Oh
this
yeah,
year.
by a lot.
Yes,
but he can play a lot. I think he'll be okay for that reason. What do you think? Okay, do you think they should start Boogie Cousins? Cause I think they should start Kuzma, LeBron, AD, and Cousins off the bench.
At
least for a little bit, because Cousins, he's been hurt twice now with 2 really serious injuries. Tore his quad, played through it, and then tore Achilles. You're part of that. Foul trouble. Malicious, not great guy to be around, but great offensive talent.
Yes, I do agree with that. I think that Boogie Cousins should come off the bench. A lineup that I'm really looking forward to seeing from this team this year is Boogie Cousins, Anthony Davis. This is just on the floor at some given time. Boogie Cousins, Anthony Davis, Kyle Kuzma, LeBron James, and Danny Green with LeBron running the point.
Yep.
That's scary. That is scary, but health has to be there. In the postseason, against a team that likes to run small, you will dominate the glass offensively, defensively, and they're going to score every time they have the ball, especially in today's NBA where everybody's trying to go small. You look at that starting lineup, I mean, your smallest guy is Danny Green, and then after that, you're looking at 6'8" or taller. So I think that's a lineup to look forward to. I do think bringing Boogie Cousins off the bench and just monitoring how his health is throughout the season would be huge. Plus, if you bring in Boogie Cousins, it also opens up the door to limit a little bit what you're getting with Anthony Davis. You know, because when you remember that season that Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins, they took that team to the playoffs, but we rarely got to see them both together because Anthony Davis was hurt some of the time, DeMarcus Cousins was hurt some of the time. Once they got into the postseason, Anthony Davis was healthy, DeMarcus Cousins wasn't. But it opened them up to where they could still win games because they had a dominant big on the floor, even though both weren't present. I'm excited I'm hoping the addition of Boogie Cousins helps keep both of them healthy.
Yeah, definitely. And since they did have Kyle Kuzma, who's that emerging young star, take minutes away from them, get on the lineup, help him blossom into what he could possibly be.
Yeah, I'm actually excited. I know the Lakers didn't get Kawhi Leonard, they didn't get a max guy, but I think that they got fine pieces to put around around LeBron and Anthony Davis. So wait and see. Any chance they bring in Melo?
Yeah, there's a chance. I mean, when you have that minimum, there's always a chance.
There's always a chance. Do you think that would work?
No. Carmelo hasn't worked anywhere in like over a decade now.
No.
But he'll have a game or two where he makes 3 or 4 threes. And then he'll come in. You know what? Here's going to happen. He'll come in for a few games, line him up, average like 14 points a game off the bench. Everybody thinks they figured it out. And then he'll forget how to play basketball again and be like, what's wrong with the Lakers?
You know, if Melo would just concede that he's not a starter at this point in his career, I would like it.
I think he has to get into that point.
He'd have to.
Nobody can be just this oblivious to their own place in the world. Like,
yeah, I mean, whenever you bring out Kyle Kuzma, like, he would be a fine guy to throw in there. Just, you know, just to log some minutes, maybe put another shooter around LeBron, another guy that could score. I wouldn't hate it, but I just don't think that Melo's ego can handle it, and I don't think that he's going to concede to being a bench player, which at this point in his career, in the last probably 3 years of his career, that's what he is. So wait and see. Will Boogie Cousins ever get a non-1-year vet minimum contract?
I think after this year he'll get one.
You said that last year.
But yes, but I think had he not torn his quad, he would have got one this year.
I would hope he would.
Because last year he was playing the good boy. He said, "I'm gonna be a good boy all year long." Well, he's an okay boy.
Dude, whenever he played in the one playoff game that he put, like, he almost had a triple-double in, he was basically Draymond Green without the stellar defense. Like, he was okay on defense, but he was basically Draymond Green 2.0.
And he'll get one. I don't think he'll ever get a 9-figure contract, but I think he can get one after this season. And, like 3 years, $60 million, something like that. Just kind of round it all out for him, and then call it a career probably.
So Golden State Warriors got Willie Cauley-Stein. Does that move the needle for this team at all for you?
No. No.
I did see something funny though. I don't exactly know what the ranking is or what exactly it was where he ranked, but I had heard somebody speak of this, and they had talked about Willie Cauley-Stein was one of the highest guys as far as screen assists in the league last year. Coming around, setting a screen for a guy to roll off and hit a three. And D'Angelo Russell was also one of the guys who benefited the most last year from the screen assist.
Oh.
So, I mean, obviously they did their homework bringing both these guys in here together. I think it helps them.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to get 25 hard minutes from the guy.
He's going to rebound. He's going to play good defense. He's not going to light it up at all, but he's going to give you what you want, defensive rebounds.
Yes. He's one of the good role players that Steve Kerr has been a mastermind of using over the last few years, so I do like that. Spurs, Marcus Morris, DeMarre Carroll. These are two Spurs-like players.
Yep.
Does that help you move the Spurs up to where you can guarantee they're going to be in the playoffs next year?
Guarantee being the playoffs. Oh shit, that's a tough question. Last year the Kings and Lakers both missed the playoffs. And then Lakers can be in this year. Can Kings make it? I don't know. I like this move though. Marcus Morris and Mark Hale. Both guys, with Mark Hale especially, started his career very hot.
Yes.
Marcus Morris never got his career started, but he's kind of been this real steady-paced guy. I like these guys for him though. They're two real solid players. I love the NBA right now, where Marcus Morris gets $20 million and Boogie Cousins can't find a 2-year contract anywhere.
I know.
I love it. It's great.
I love that. So, latency, it is time for us to play some darts. Pew, 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 pew. We're playing darts, baby. Today, for darts, we're actually going to bust out a new game since rosters are basically set. We're going to throw a dart apiece at the same time. We're going to do 3 of these, and we're going to talk about each number on the dartboard is going to represent a different team, and we're going to debate which team we like more going into this regular season. We tried to do the top 20. Latency, did you put the Hawks in there?
I did not. I'm going to add them as the bullseye.
Put them in as the bullseye.
Okay. Yeah, it got kind of a tug. I put in the playoff teams from last year, then I threw in the Heat, getting Butler, put in the Wizards, getting John Wall back.
You put in the Lakers?
Yep, they made it.
Okay, good.
They made the list.
All right, Latency. So, your throw. We have a 14.
14 is the Pelicans.
Ooh, that's interesting, actually.
NBA past champion.
And my throw, we have a 6.
A 6 is the Celtics.
The Celtics, or this is actually a good one.
It's not as bad as it seems. No, because you dive down into it.
This is interesting.
Yep.
What team do you like more for this regular season?
I'm gonna go with the Celtics.
And you're only doing that because they're in the East, aren't you?
It's close, yes. I might pick them still in the West, but the fact they're in the East what really gave it to them. The Pelicans could be a good team on paper, and next to each other. Moving point of the season, they could be the same level of, I guess, goodness, we'll say. Because Zion will play half the season, Lonzo Ball, Ingram hopefully healthy, all the guys come together. Moving point of the season, I see the team being in the same level. I would see the Celtics being like an 8 seed this year, 7-8 seed.
Yeah. So these teams, I think, if they were both in the same conference, they would be very, very close with each other. I think now the West has kind of broadened it out to where they're again 1 through 8 super deep. if both these were in the same conference, I would honestly say that I like the Pelicans a little more. Now, the fact that Zion Williamson in his first game in Summer League basically gets shut down for the remainder of the Summer League definitely puts an asterisk on this for me. But I do like what the Celtics did. I think they're going to be a very similar team to what they were last year. The only thing is that they're not going to have the pain in the ass, which is Kyrie Irving in the locker room. So just for the simple fact that they're in the East, I think I would honestly, in a 7-game series, the Pelicans would make that very interesting. But I'm going to give the nod to Brad Stevens and Kemba Walker and basically the same team they had from last year with the exception of Terry Rozier and Al Horford. So I'll take the Celtics as well. That was an interesting one.
One of the things was just you've seen it enough times now just to make a safe bet.
So Leighton C, your throw. And we have a 9.
A 9 is the Pacers. Ooh,
Okay. In my throw, we have a 1.
1 are the Raptors.
Ooh, Pacers or Raptors. Okay, so moving pieces here. Pacers got Brogdon, got Jeremy Lamb, lost Bogdanovich, got T.J. Warren, and the Raptors lost Kawhi Leonard, got Rondae. Who'd they get? Hollis Jefferson?
Yeah.
Okay. Leighton C, who do you like more this year?
I put it on me. So, okay.
You know what I'm going with.
I think I'm gonna go with the Pacers. It has to be the Pacers, I think. Yeah. Pacers bringing back Oladipo is a huge factor for him. I like Brogdon a lot. Figure if he's a player, good offensive player, strong player. Like I mentioned, a whole lot of mistakes. Lee Bogdanovich is gonna hurt what people think it's going to. He's a really good defensive player and a great shooter for you guys. Raptors lost Kawhi. They haven't replaced Kawhi. So until they bring in something to replace Kawhi Leonard, I have to go with the Pacers as being better than the Raptors.
I do too, and something that I think that the people that are just skimming by the Pacers aren't realizing is that Malcolm Brogdon's getting better. Victor Oladipo is coming off of an injury, so we're gonna have to see how that plays out. Miles Turner is getting better, and Sabonis now probably is going to slide into the starting lineup and give more minutes for this team. And he's a guy who basically came out of nowhere and has gotten better every single game he's been in the NBA. So now that he's in that starter role, more than likely, he is going to develop even more. I think that the fact that they lost Kawhi Leonard, who was a huge part of their championship run last year, is going to... this could be a team that went from a 2 seed in the playoffs last year all the way down to a 6 seed just because they lost Kawhi Leonard, even though he only did play 66 games last year. Now, the Raptors have very good role players, very similar to the Pacers, but the Pacers, I'm going to give them the edge just because of Victor Oladipo, is basically the only star on either one of these two teams, and you have to have one. You have to have one, so I'm going to give the nod to the Pacers. So Leighton C, last round. We have a 19.
19 are the Kings.
And we have a bullseye.
The Hawks.
I wanted to talk about the Hawks.
Okay. Go ahead.
Kings or the Hawks? I like the Hawks this year. I do like the Hawks. Trae Young, I was very concerned about how he would look in the NBA. Obviously, his second half of the season was much better than his first. And he kind of lit the league on fire towards the end of the regular season last year. Now you add in something that you didn't have just a season ago with two. I know they're young. I know they're rookies. But you brought in two wing players that are very, very good at basketball. You brought in Cam Reddish and you brought in DeAndre Hunter. And DeAndre Hunter, in my opinion, is the poor man's Kawhi Leonard, which he's going to fit into just basically anything that you throw at him. And, he was a guy that at Virginia, he was okay with deferring shots to guys like Kyle Guy and Ty Jerome. So it makes me believe that he's not going to have a problem giving up shots to Trae Young or even John Collins. This is a team that if you look at, a starting five that if you keep together in 5 years, you potentially have 5 stars on your team with John Collins, Trae Young, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter. Like, this is a legitimately good team. For this regular season, if they were both in the same conference, this would be much, much closer. But for the simple fact that I could see the Hawks sneaking into flirting with the playoffs, I'm going to give the nod to the Hawks.
I'm going to go with the Kings. The Kings were like 2 games out of playoffs last year, 1 game out of playoffs last season.
Very close.
They're all going to get better this season. the Hawks have drafted Donald Hunter and Cam Reddish, but we've said basically the entire season how this draft is, just mediocre after the first three guys. So I don't trust those three guys being rookies this season to be. I don't think it'll be a playoff team. Eastern Conference. Eastern Conference will be really bad this year, but I don't think they're better than the Kings this year, who were just a hair away from the playoffs in the Western Conference last season.
These are very similar teams, though, I think. Both of them are super
Yes.
young, but in a couple of years, these are teams that we could see being, locks for the playoffs. And they're both kind of in the same situation. I think the Kings may be just 1 year advanced.
Yeah, they talked to me like that. I forget in 3 seasons when some more player movements happen, some guy might be out of the league completely, or guys, downhill slope bad. The Hawks and Kings could be 2 of the 10 best teams in basketball.
Yes. That was kind of fun.
That was fun.
So Leighton C. U.S. women's soccer team won the World Cup this week in a very dominant fashion. Honestly, making it look very easy.
Never lost a game.
Yeah, never lost a game. I mean, they were as good as you could possibly be in the World Cup. Why do you think the U.S. women's team is so good, but the men are terrible? Like, the men didn't even qualify for the World Cup. The women go out there and just make it look absolutely easy. What do you think the difference is there?
The only thing that I can come up with is the fact that the USA and the men have 4 major sports that men predominantly play, in hockey, basketball, football, and baseball. And they start playing those from a very young age, specifically baseball, basketball, and football. And I think that the best athletes in the world play football and basketball. I think you take those guys, start them playing soccer from a very young age, we'd be so good at soccer. Imagine the NBA players and NFL players just playing soccer from a young age with that athleticism and that kind of strength, and just it's insane. Like the fact that guys who are 250 pounds can jump up and dunk a basketball or dunk a football through a field goal post is insane. Imagine just 10 of those guys playing soccer.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I'm gonna kind of break it down for the pecking order for like just a normal high school, what their fall sports would be. For men, you would have football, which reigns king over soccer. I would even say that you have golf above soccer as far as what people are drawn to, especially at a young age. How many dads now just want to get a golf club in their kid's hand at a young age? Almost every dad anymore buys their kid a set of clubs just hoping that they would love it. Soccer is kind of an afterthought for this. But like, whenever you watch the women's team, I'll put it up now. I watch the women's World Cup way more than I watch the men, even if it's not even if it's not U.S. playing. Whenever you watch the guys play, dude, if one guy gets knocked over, they roll around on the floor acting like they're hurt. It's basically like watching basketball on steroids. Like, these dudes are rolling. I've seen them roll 10, 15 yards after they get hit. Where the women are the exact opposite. Like, if they get hit, they just hop back up and they keep it going. Which I think is what turns people away from the men's sport of soccer, because there's too much theatrics.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you aren't getting hit that hard. You're playing soccer. So why do you act like you're hurt every single play?
Yeah. This is actually a fact. Right now, especially soccer is on the rise big. A lot of people come into work and say that a lot of kids don't play football anymore. They just want to play soccer because it's easier. Not easier. Like, practices aren't as hard. You don't get hit. There's less, contact in general.
It's easier, you can say it.
Yeah. There's in general.
It's a 90-minute job.
Yep. And then my niece goes to high school out. She says all like the good athletic kids play soccer. None of them play football.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's because people just don't like getting hit, and the parents probably get them towards soccer now instead of football because you see guys not be able to walk when they're 50.
No, honestly, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. So, Leighton C., it is time for our shittiest take of the week. What is your shittiest take of the week?
Mine goes out to our boy Nick Wright. And
He's back.
it's not to say a shit take, just he forgot what he does. For a long time, his job was to cover LeBron James. Not his job, but the way he got famous was covering LeBron James. And we talked about this earlier. LeBron James has said for years now he wants the ball in his hands less on offense so he's not exhausted come the fourth quarter and finish the games better. So today, Nick Wright showed the projected lineup for the Lakers. It was Rajon Rondo, Danny Green, LeBron, AD, and Cousins. He said that he wants to start Quinn Cook instead of Rondo because it adds more shooting to the court and it puts the ball in LeBron's hands more. Now, that's not a bad take. Yeah, that makes sense to win basketball games. It's just stupid because we know that's not what LeBron wants to do. And we know LeBron has a say what happened with the Lakers team. Like, everybody's going to say he doesn't, but everybody knows that he does. And the fact that you don't, if a guy who don't realize that LeBron don't want the ball in his hands all the time, he wants Rondo in this whole lineup to take the pressure off him in the early quarters of the games. Now, fourth quarter, you're going to play the Quinn Cook for Rondo, make it 3? Absolutely. But the first quarter, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I actually agree with you 100%. And the way Nick Wright became Nick Wright is by basically vocalizing everything that LeBron would want, does want. And I think he's off in left field on that one.
Yeah, Nick Wright, I remember the day before
Quinn Cook, the starter on LeBron James' team.
I remember the day before he had First Things First, he would go on a Cowboy show once a week and tell everybody that LeBron is the best player in the world, no matter what you think. And if you did think the best player in the world, tell you right here is better than that.
I love that. So my shittiest take of the week comes from Peter King. Guys, Peter King is most famous for covering football, so keep that in mind as I read this to you. ESPN and the 30 for 30 franchise has done some really great docs and journalism. A shame that at least a fifth of children in America go to bed hungry nightly. They're highlighting gluttony. Treating someone who overeats excessively as a competitive athlete, truly disgusting. Okay. So there's a few things wrong with this. Obviously the fact that kids go to bed hungry is a problem. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But to compare that to competitive eating, you are way off in left field on this one. Especially if you're trying to say that competitive eating is a problem in the United States, how about the sport that is most linked to brain damage and most linked to suicide and people
generally bad health growing up.
Bad for your well-being.
Yeah.
And that's the sport that you cover, and you're going to say that competitive eating puts a bad look and a bad taste in everybody's mouth, and it looks bad in a country like America? That's absolutely terrible to say. People realize that that's a problem. But competitive eating is a thing. It is I don't know if I would consider it a sport or whatever, but the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest is an event that people like to see. I mean, unless you're donating half of your salary or the majority of your salary to where you can go out and, you just skate by. That way you donated all of your money to, children that are going to bed hungry. Get out of here with that. You can't compare these two things. That's stupid. That's stupid.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Nathan's actually donates a ton of hot dogs to like homeless shelters and people that are going to bed hungry. I think the last I saw was like 300,000 hot dogs or something like that, or $300,000. Like, they donate a lot of money to this. So do your research before you go at the event like that. And especially that you cover football, man. That's terrible.
Yeah, no, yeah. And if you want more idea on competitive eating food, stick around for the entertainment review, because I might be reviewing something involving competitive food eating.
Okay, I'm all ears for that. So latency, little MLB chatter. So first up, Jake Marisnick runs over Jonathan Lucroy at a play at the plate. They've been trying to get this out of the MLB for some time. A lot of people are trying to say that it was Lucroy's fault for trying to get the guy out. People are saying that he was in the baseline. What's your take on this whole situation?
Lucroy just chucked him.
Marisnick trucked Lucroy.
Yeah, sorry. Marisnick chucked Lucroy. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, so when I first watched the play live, it looked like Marisnick was trying to get in the way of the ball, hit the glove, which is also dumb. He would have been out had the ball hit him. But then he ended up just trucking him. And then I watched it again today, and Jake was right. He was very much out of the baseline. He was almost on the grass in front of home plate.
Yes.
And then he put his head down and tucked him over. He did not mean to hurt Lucroy, because that's just, I don't think he would have meant to hurt him. He meant to truck him, though.
But what other intentions do you have by just completely running over a guy?
He meant to truck him. And the only way to fix it anymore is for the base runners to just be aware that they can't do that.
Yeah.
Because they got to suspend him.
So Ray Fosse basically had his career ended from this. Posey, he had a very, very big injury from this kind of thing. And now, we see Lucroy have to get carted off the field. I think Yadier Molina said it best. And, obviously, if you guys listen, you know that I'm not the biggest Cardinal fan in the world. But Yadi's right with what he said. He posted a video or a picture on Instagram of Marisnick basically just bulldogging him. And it says, bullshit. MLB needs to take action on this play. Fuck. Praying for Lucroy. Slide, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And that was coming from Yadier Molina, a guy who... Did you know Yadier Molina even cussed?
Nope.
I did not know until
English.
now. Yeah, and he's out here, standing on a platform for other catchers, which honestly is what he should be doing. If you watch the play, don't watch it in fast time, watch it in slow motion. You will actually see Marisnick is taking the outer half of the baseline, which is what runners are supposed to do in baseball, and his right foot plants on the outside of the baseline, and then his left foot springs over the baseline. About 3 feet over the baseline, he lowers his shoulder and just completely bull rushes him. And in the Lucroy's defense, if you're a catcher in that position, that is where you are taught to set up, because the base runner is supposed to take the outside. And if he catches that ball 3 feet forward, where he would have been completely out of the play, he would have never even had a chance to make a tag on the guy. I think this is something that needs to be taken seriously. I think they need to make an example of Marisnick and actually suspend him for a decent amount of time, because baseball is not a contact sport. I hate it whenever people are like, "Oh, he was trying to get in the way of the double play." Baseball's not a contact sport. If you go in and a guy who's trying to make a play and put your cleats up in the air and take out his knees, that's not a baseball play. That's a dirty play on a guy who has no chance to defend himself. In my opinion on this is like a crackback block in the NFL, which is now illegal in an actual contact sport. The guy's eyes are facing the baseball field where he's actually trying to make a play, and he doesn't even see you coming, and you just bull rush him over. He would have been safe if he would have went on the outside and just slid. I don't understand why you would try to do this. I think this is a dirty play, and I think he immediately regretted doing it because he got up and he's like, "Oh, this dude's actually hurt," whenever he's laying there. I don't think he's a bad guy, but I think you make an example of this so this stuff doesn't happen again. If people did this in every single game for 162 games for a season, every time there was a play at the plate, we would be having single-A catchers in baseball games because everybody would be hurt.
There's going to be literally not enough people to catch baseball games.
Yes, and it's not like these guys aren't taking enough beating as it is playing the catcher position. I mean, you look at a guy like Cervelli, he just had his 6th concussion. Not going to play catcher anymore.
Yep.
So something has to be done about this. This is terrible. So, Leighton, MLB Home Run Derby tonight. Let's go ahead and give our predictions on the Home Run Derby. I'm actually excited for this one. I think we have a pretty solid field of, a good mix of young guys. First up, Christian Yelich pulled out with a back injury. So now you have Matt Chapman versus Vlad Guerrero Jr. Who do you like?
I'm going with Vlad Jr.
I am too.
Just because he has 8 career home runs, but I've seen him hit a ball 500 feet into play.
Yes, no,
and in batting practice, so
he's a batting practice champion, dude.
Yep. And
if you look at guys who are going to get the bonus because you've hit so many balls so far, Vlad Guerrero is going to be the guy that gets the bonus swings at the end. I think Vlad will win this first round, and I think he's going to handle him pretty well. I think this is one that Vlad's going to be able to take the foot off the gas, which he should. He's a big boy. These big boys, whenever they get a bunch of home runs, don't hit any more than what you have to because you're going to wear yourself out. Next up, staying on the same side of the bracket, we have Bregman versus Jock Peterson. Leighton C. Who do you like?
Man, this is a boring ass.
This is boring. This is the worst one out of all 4 of these. This is the worst one.
I can see this one being 6-5. I'm going with Jock Peterson.
Yeah, I am too. I want to know how many times Jock Peterson's going to swing and miss.
Hopefully none, but there's a chance he does a couple times.
There's a chance that he does, but I think he's going to be able to put up enough over the wall to beat Bregman. So far, we're the same.
Yep.
Next side of the bracket, we have Pete Alonso taking on Carlos Santana. Leighton C., who do you like?
Polar bear.
You like the polar bear?
Yeah.
Pete?
Pete.
I love Pete. I hope I want to see Pete in the finals. I don't necessarily know if we're going to get it. Dude, he was like the fallacy of the year the other day. How many hits did he have? He had like 50 hits with like 23 home runs.
Yeah.
It was something ridiculous. I'm actually going with Pete Alonso on this to at least make it out of the first round. This one's interesting because they're both kind of big guys, and we see in the home run derby that necessarily doesn't work out because they get tired as it goes on. But I'm going Pete. Next up, we have Josh Bell and Ronald Acuna Jr. Wait and see. What's the move?
This is hard for me to pick for the first round anyway. But I'm going with Josh Bell because Josh Bell hit some. It's an absolute moonshots.
Yes, I think this one's close. This is probably the closest one out of the whole first round, but I think what the difference is going to be, I don't think that Acuna is going to hit him far enough to qualify for the extra swings. I think Acuna is going to go up there and just take normal swings, hit him over the wall, and then the extra time will be where Bell gets him. So next up, we both actually have Vlad Guerrero versus Jock Peterson. Wait and see who wins. Oh, by the way, if Vlad Sr. pitches to Vlad Jr., bet the house on him.
Yep. I'm going to go with Vlad Jr. because I don't think Jock's performed very well tonight in either round.
Yeah, I think he's coming out of the weakest first round there. I'm going Vlad Jr. all day. Next up, we have Pete Alonso versus Josh Bell. Where are you going?
This is really tough for me. Both guys some absolute moonshots. Both have 27 home runs. But I'm going to go with Pete Alonso.
You like Pete?
Yeah.
I want to pick Pete, but I don't think I can. I could see Pete kind of wearing down. That's the only thing I'm worried about with this. I think he's going to be one of those guys that has a phenomenal first round, and then he's going to kind of slow down as the more swings that he takes. I'm going Josh Bell, and I think he's honestly he's going to qualify for the second round of swings no matter what. I saw a stat on him the other day that he's like heads and shoulders with like home runs over 440 feet. I think he already has like 5 of them.
Yeah, and it's also a good choice picking Jock, but he's a switch hitter. So no matter what side his thrower throws with, he has the positive split.
That's true. That's a good
I didn't think about that.
yeah, you did not. So your finals, latency, Vlad Jr., which we both have, versus Pete Alonso. Who wins?
Polar bear.
You taking the polar bear?
Take the polar bear, man. I like this kid. He's good.
No, I like him a lot. I honestly wouldn't be mad to see him win, but I think I'm going to go ahead and predict that Vlad Jr. and Vlad Sr. are going to be out there together. And last time I saw a guy hit off of his dad pitching in the home run derby, that man won, which was Bryce Harper last year. So I'm going with the Vlad to Vlad connection. Vlad Jr. is your home run derby champion. So next up we have the Nationals. They've actually been surging as of late. Good time to get hot, cruising right into the All-Star break. They've won 23 of their last 32 games. The Nationals have dethroned Bryce Harper's new team, the Phillies, out of the top wild card spot. So kind of a big race to watch down the end with some teams that may or may not have that bad blood, especially being in the same division. So wait and see. Which team will have a better second half? Bryce's new team or Bryce's old boo?
I'm picking the Nationals. Before seeing start, I picked them to win the division because Tom Fisher is going to be so good. And for the first 30
You nailed
games,
that.
it was not. But over this winning streak, they've been pitching for lights out.
Lights
Max
out.
is just going to win the fucking Cy Young Award for the 4th time. And the Nationals is like a really good team right now. And they didn't make a big trade on the All-Star break for another hitter or two. We'll talk about that in a second. But the Nationals going forward.
Every single week, dude, I see a stat on the ticker on ESPN. It's like Max Scherzer, 5th straight game with like 1 earned run, 10 strikeouts. Like it's just unreal. what he's doing.
8 innings pitched.
Yes,
Just
8 innings
mowing them
pitched.
down.
He's just mowing people down at this point. And it's not like it's a super top-heavy rotation because you have a guy like Patrick Corbin who's been the best starter probably over this winning streak. I mean, over his last 4 starts, he has a sub-1 ERA with 35 Ks. The guy's been absolutely killing it. This team has not... They've allowed 2 teams to get double-digit runs over this little stretch. They've actually allowed 3 or fewer runs in 17 of their last 32, which is absolutely insane. And all 5 of their starting pitchers, a sub-3.8 ERA.
Yep.
I'm actually going to stick with you there, especially with the news that Jake Arrieta may need surgery. I think that the Nationals will actually stay ahead of the Phillies in the second half.
How do you know Arrieta telling Todd Frazier he could dent his jaw if he came at him.
I don't blame him.
Love it.
Do you?
No, he hit him. Ah, man. Did you see the whole
It's not
sequence?
like no.
He hit Todd Frazier. They were up by, I think, 1. Hit Todd, touched his chest into it. The next guy up, he also hit.
Yeah, well, dude, he lost control.
And yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it on purpose, but
No,
it's
he's-
so insane that he hit both those guys.
Since this injury's flared up, I think it's like a bone spur on his elbow.
Yeah.
Like, he's just been completely inaccurate. It's not like he's out there just hitting people. Like, Jake Arrieta, I don't think is that kind of guy, especially in a one-run freaking ball game, hitting back-to-back guys. So, wait and see. We're going to give some predictions for the second half of the season. What is your team that is most likely to win the division that is not in first place?
I'm going to go Cleveland Indians. We talked about this on a month and a half ago. They were 10 games out of first place. Since beginning of June, they're 22-9. Now they're only 5.5 games back. And they haven't lost back-to-back games once since June.
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree with you. We could have taken the layup because the NL
I picked
Central.
the Brewers or the
Yeah,
Cardinals.
the NL Central. Every single team is within 4.5 games of first place there. But I'm actually going to go with the Indians as well. I feel like it was just like 2 weeks ago we were talking about how the Indians were 10 games out.
Mm-hmm.
We were basically writing them off. But now they've kind of, had a resurgence. They're only 5.5 out now with the All-Star break. They cut that lead in half. And teams typically, with the news around Carrasco, teams, which is very, very bad, teams tend to rally, around those kind of things. Hopefully everything turns out well with him.
He pitched in his life, he said.
Yeah, so far the reports have been good with him. So hopefully he has a good recovery. We see him again this year. But I am also going with the Indians. So Leighton, team that is most likely to flame out and miss the playoffs entirely, that sits in first place.
I'm not going to pick the easy way out and pick the Cubs just because that division is. But I'm going to go with the Twins. I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs, but the Astros Yankees would definitely miss the playoffs. But since June 1st, the Twins are 18-15, which equivalent to about 4.5 games for the Indians, which is exactly what it was. They have basically no hiccups at all the entire season. They haven't played super great since June. I think that'll change. I think it's going to be fine, but I pick one team. I pick the Twins.
So it was so hard to pick a team that I thought was going to miss playoffs entirely just because some of these leads are just so substantial. Basically, every single lead is huge, and I don't think that the Twins are going to miss the playoffs entirely, and I've already kind of used the Twins. I'm going to say the Yankees are still going to make the postseason, but I don't know if they're going to win that division. It seems like the Red Sox have not done anything right this year, and they're still only about 6 games out. And, the Rays, they get hot and they get cold. They haven't been playing as well of late. I don't think that the Yankees are going to be able to continue to piece this thing together. Like, everybody produces for this team right now, and it's guys that haven't produced in quite some time. I think that they are going to have a little bit of a hiccup because they haven't had a hiccup all season. And I think that either the Red Sox or the Rays are going to figure things out in the second half and come up and catch them. I mean, you can say it the best. How many blown saves have the Red Sox had this season so far? I
want to say 17, but I missed a couple, so we'll go with 18. So it's 17 or 19. You can show me that range.
You cut that in half, and they have a 3-game lead in the division.
Yeah.
You cut that in half.
Oh, no, it's so frustrating. It's very frustrating.
So I feel like they could figure things out. They really haven't done anything right with the bullpen, so I really think that the Yankees, if there's a team that has a decent lead right now, that isn't the Twins, it will be the Yankees to flame out. So, player to turn it around.
I think it's really easy for me to play that I've followed pretty hard the past couple years, being a Red Sox player, but it's Paul Goldschmidt. He's only hitting 254 right now. His OBP's down, but he's walking at the same rate he always has. He's about 30 hits off his career pace, hitting home runs still at his career pace. Difference is he just is not getting hits. He only has 9 doubles this year. He's had 30 doubles every single season since he was a rookie. He starts off the seasons kind of slow, had the past couple seasons. I think he'll have a big second half and maybe lead the Cardinals to the playoffs, if not the division title.
Yeah, I could honestly see it last year this time. Paul Goldschmidt was an afterthought because he was playing terrible for the first every single week he was on the fallacy list.
Yeah, we had a fallacy of him hitting 2 home runs, batting 180.
Yeah.
And then boom.
Yeah, I
300.
could definitely see it. I think the guy that's going to turn it around is Bryce Harper. So anytime he's played for over 101 games in an MLB season, he's made the All-Star team. This year, he did not make the All-Star team. I think we could see the kind of turnaround in his season that we saw from Jake Arrieta the year that he won the Cy Young but was not named an All-Star. A second-half resurgence to where he could even throw his name into the hat of, maybe even get a couple MVP votes. I don't think that he can turn it around to win an MVP, but I think that finally, for the first time in Bryce Harper's career, something didn't go his way. He wasn't given something just because he's Bryce Harper, and I expect him to turn things around just based off of that simple fact there. Because that's kind of a slap in the face.
Yeah.
You just got paid $330 million and you don't even make an All-Star team, which all it is a popularity contest. People are starting to catch on. If this isn't eye-opening, I don't know what will be. So, latency, player to have the biggest second-half decline.
I'm going to go with Josh Bell for Pittsburgh Pirates. Here in a career year, he'd be a great player for a long time. But right now he had a 300 average, 1,000 OPS, 30 doubles, 84 RBIs, 27 home runs, and 100 hits. He's on pace to have 50 home runs, 157, 160 RBIs, and a 300 average. If he does that, he'd be a top 5 hitter in baseball. I don't think he is one, so I expect some regression after the season. I think he hit home runs still because that's what he had always done the entire career, hit home runs. But I think the average ended up being about 280, maybe 275.
My biggest player decline, and I think we're already starting to see it, is Cody Bellinger. So whenever Cody Bellinger was hitting north of 400, I actually said that his average would dip below 300 by the end of the season. So in Cody Bellinger's first half of the season, the first half of the first half, so his first 44 games, he had an OPS that was 1.270 and a batting average that was 404. In his last 44 games, we've already seen the regression. His batting average has been 272 and his OPS is under 1,000. So we've seen the regression already just in the last 44 games. Right now, even with the second half decline, Cody Bellinger is on pace for the second highest WAR by an MLB hitter ever.
Wow.
Yes, that is absolutely insane. And Cody Bellinger is not the second best hitter ever. Guys, he is ahead of every single season Barry Bonds ever played in the MLB. His WAR is not his wins above replacement should not be higher than Barry Bonds at peak Barry Bonds. This is the second highest WAR that will ever be recorded if he stays on the pace that he is now. We've seen the regression. If he continues to do this, hit 272 with the OPS under 1,000, his batting average will dip below 300 with about 40 games left. It'll start flirting with it about 40 games left, and he keeps on that tear of 272. It will ultimately finish the season under 300, which is what I expect from Cody Bellinger. So wait and see. Dark horse wildcard team.
I'm with the Padres, they're 500 right now. Machado's, over the past 2 weeks, Machado's had like a 340 average, hitting hell of baseball. Whole team coming together. I think the Padres wanted to go for it. They had a little bit of gain there. Not sure if they do want to call up the better prospects just yet this season, but they're a dark horse wildcard team.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. Because, we could take any of these teams that are second in their division, that are just on the cusp. The Padres are a 500 baseball team. I think another team that is a dark horse wildcard team is the Cardinals. The Cardinals have been absolutely terrible lately, but they're still hanging around in the division. And by absolutely terrible, they've fallen to 500. So the Cardinals are a team that typically figure things out. You saw Schilt whenever he took over at the end of last season. Everybody was absolutely praising the guy. It was working at the beginning of this season, and it's fallen short as of late. If there's a guy that can put together a second half surge, we saw it from him last year. I'm afraid we will see it again from him this year. So, Leighton, team to most likely make a huge deal at the deadline.
So this is a really tough one, because looking at the teams who are, in the playoffs, just out of the playoffs, they don't really have a need for an outfielder. But Nick Castellanos from the Detroit Tigers is buying 300, really good player, and I'm going to go with the Twins. The only team who really needs outfield help. They can put him in there Fernandez Martin, who's already hurt, who bats 190 when he's healthy. Throw him in, they'd be great for him. So Twins and Indians, one of those two teams, we're getting a Castellanos from the Tigers.
I think that'd be interesting. I would really like to see him go to the Twins. And especially if you are the Twins, you have to go get him. That way he doesn't go to the Indians.
Yeah, and you gotta think too, if you're the Twins, yeah, you have young, good pieces, but you had young pieces last year too that weren't as good. So how do you want to take a chance and just go not make any moves this year?
Yeah, I think they're almost in the position where the Indians are there. It's not a panic move. It's just an insurance piece, and you need that. One team that I kind of expect to make a big deal, and I'm going to tell you why. I think it's the Cubs, and it's not just because I'm a Cubs fan and they've been sputtering as of late. We've seen Theo Epstein make a huge deal in the past that turned into winning him a World Series. The year that the Red Sox won the World Series, it was the year that I think they swept the Cardinals in the World Series. They actually traded Nomar Garciaparra, who was hitting north of 300 just 40 games in. I think that Theo is going to see that the Cubs have a pretty good team right now, but they need something to put them over the top. And just with his track record alone, you saw the year that he won the World Series with the Cubs, he made the move to obviously go out and get Aroldis Chapman. So I think that there will be something in the works outside of just signing Craig Kimbrell. Man, I had a brain fart there. I was about to say Craig Counsell.
Nope.
Outside of signing Craig Kimbrell, you have to make another move, and Theo Epstein is the guy that will pull the trigger on any player anytime if it's going to increase his chances to win a World Series. So wait and see. It is time to put you in the spotlight. Each week you go out and you watch several different movies. You kind of highlighted at it earlier that you'll be reviewing something that involves competitive eating. So wait and see. What did you bring for me today?
That's right, this week I'll be reviewing the newest ESPN 30 for 30, The Good, The Bad, and The Hungry. Have you seen this?
No, but Peter King has.
I know you're yes, and I know you're a big fan of food and you like this a whole lot too. So going into this film, I wasn't going to review this. I was going to kind of mention it shortly, but lots have happened with this. So going to the movie, I thought Kobayashi was just this like asshole, like just basically the asshole who's going to beat Joey Chestnut at all costs, just dickhead. I was really wrong. And if you're one of those people who are like all about equal rights and all about that stuff, you're coming out of this really not liking Joey Chestnut at all. So it starts off with
Don't you talk about the king.
Kobayashi. Kobayashi, his talent was eating a lot of fast, obviously.
Yeah, he did the Kobayashi shake.
Yeah, he discovered that at a very young age, so he started going on the competitive food shows in Japan and became a Japanese superstar. Like, he was like the equivalent of like LeBron James in America, like Kobayashi in Japan. At one point in time, he was so dominant on competitive food network, whatever you want to call it. Somebody, I guess, with knowledge of that thing, said that you to compare him and Tiger Woods, you're doing a disservice to Kobayashi.
Dude, Kobayashi was good. Back whenever he used to run because I used to dude, I've watched this back whenever Kobayashi was like the champ. Mm-hmm. He was unbelievable. Like, nobody was even close. It was whenever nobody else could really even eat like 40 dogs. Mm-hmm. He was polishing off like 60.
Yeah, and then so he's obviously eating a whole lot of food, gets to America, becomes a superstar in America, and this whole time he's talking and like saying like how happy he is to be like recognized as the success, American hero. Because in Japan, basically, if you're not a success, you're nothing. So that's very important to him. And then we get to Joey Chestnut's part of the story where he first in food contest, he's on the very end of the stage. Outside afterthought, got third place. So he thought, okay, I can beat this guy. So then his life goal was to beat Kobayashi. He goes on a humongous surge in the MLE, or MLE, whatever it's called, the Major League Eating Network, and he becomes the second best guy in the world against Kobayashi, and is next to him on a stage where they're eating crystal sliders. You know what I'm talking about? White Castle but crystals?
Oh, yeah.
Kobayashi beat him. And to the court, he won. Kobayashi celebrated, I guess, and Joey Chestnut just said, I knew right then that I hated Kobayashi. Kobayashi never hated Joey Chestnut. He just wanted to win. He was happy that he had a competitor. Because for a long time, it felt like a job to him, he said. But once he had a competitor, he felt like an athlete. He was happy at Joey Chestnut. Chestnut hated Kobayashi. cannot stand Kobayashi. His life goal
This is
from
the
that
difference
point
between
forward.
LeBron and Kobe.
Yeah, because his goal from that point forward was to be Kobayashi. And then some bad news starts happening. Kobayashi's mom gets cancer and died. He didn't want to compete anymore. But he didn't want to go out losing to Joey Chestnut at a food contest. So he's preparing for that, and he gets what they call jawitis in the Major League Eating thing, which basically his jaw hurts so he can't open all the way. Competes anyway, loses by like 2 hot dogs. Then the next season, he goes eats again, loses by 2 hot dogs, and then the agency comes to him and says, "Hey Kobayashi, you can make way more money by not being with them, doing your own thing." So all he wanted to do was be able to eat in contests that were not MLE sanctioned, which makes sense. But I think of this kind, you think of like MMA fighting. You can only fight for UFC. Like, you're not allowed to fight for Bellator or something like that. You can go eat for another competition, I guess. So that makes sense why you can't do that. And that was this whole dispute's about. And then the last time Chestnut beat Kobayashi, the fans were yelling at him like, "Go home, you kamikaze," all that stuff. And that hurt Kobayashi. And that is in it for him. Because then he knew that he was now hated. Chestnut's the king, blah blah. He was just done.
Wow.
So Kobayashi doesn't eat competitively anymore. Now he just does like fundraisers and meet and greets, where people come and talk to him and hang out for a day, and then he eats for them at the very end.
That's crazy.
Yep. But I
It's
guess,
kind of sad.
and they were showing this was such a cool documentary. Like, this is so awesome. This all the way back to the first time he was on the stage in the hot eating contest. He ate 50 hot dogs. That was like the benchmark.
That was unheard of.
The benchmark. The next guy ate like 13.
Yeah.
And they show it too. Some guys who would eat it like slow, like one at a time. He would break it in half, some in his mouth, and eat the hot dogs. And it was just crazy.
Well,
and
he was the one that would he started dunking the buns to.
he was the first one to take the hot dogs out of the buns, break them in half, and eat them both, and then do the buns.
Yeah.
First one to do that, obviously way faster. But I didn't think. I knew I wanted to watch the documentary because about hot dog eating. Like, you want to see that. I didn't think it was going to be that good and that entertaining throughout the whole show. Not my favorite 30 for 30, not in the top 10 probably, but still a very solid 2.3. Very good. It definitely got worse as Kobayashi started getting hurt and stopped eating, because there was no, like, twilight to it. The
Right.
twilight was just that it came up and Kobayashi just started having a lot of misfortunes. So we never got the payoff we all wanted.
So it was almost like a sad story to where you don't understand where Peter King was coming from on this.
Yes. So, moral of the story: Peter King, jackass.
Yes. Wow. I'm definitely going to check that out. This is something that I've watched basically every single year that I possibly could. I mean, I remember the days where Kobayashi was absolutely just trucking people out there, where it wasn't even close. I watched the first time that he had eaten 50 dogs, and that was like historic. I think it was like 52 or 53.
Yeah.
Unreal. I'm going to have to check that one out. That one sounds good. Latency. So, any bold predictions for tonight?
For tonight?
Well, mine's going to be tonight. Bold
Oh.
predictions for the week.
I got one for in the future that I think you might object to.
What is it?
In the next decade, the NBA will overtake the NFL as the biggest American sport.
Object.
I'm saying that because player movement in the NBA. How much fun has it been watching this player movement?
Oh,
period?
it's
and
awesome.
how good is the season gonna be?
But you won't tune in like you do to football.
I know,
Sunday.
because it's once a week, and
Exactly.
that's what's carrying football right
Supply
now.
and
Is
demand.
that it's once a week.
Mhm.
So it's both
Same
prediction.
thing for baseball, man. If they did an overseas thing every weekend, or at least half the weekends, give you something to look forward to.
There's both prediction, but I like it.
My bold prediction is that Vlad throws to Vlad Jr. Vlad goes out there, wins the home run derby as the 8th seed in very dominant fashion. And on that note, for Drake, for Latency, as always, Dippers, stay saucy.